Let's drop the illusion once and for all. Making up doesn't mean begging for forgiveness just to keep the peace at home. If your goal is just to achieve silence, you're a loser paying ransom for your own security. This video is for those who want to emerge as winners from a conflict, not those who lose their nerve at the first sign of a partner's frown. In this section, I'm going to expose a truth I was humiliated by for years. Every reconciliation without conflict resolution is a giant step toward divorce. I've experienced with my entire being how, by giving in unnecessarily, I taught my partner that whenever she wanted something, she just had to fight me until I surrendered. I learned that a holy battle means being able to stand by your principles in the eye of the storm and reconcile in a way that doesn't break your dignity, but makes your partner realize that your peace is a privilege they must work to keep. If you don't know how to reconcile authoritatively, you're just declaring a ceasefire only to be defeated harder in the next war. You're about to learn how to extract double the respect from the heart of a fight. Step into the unseen. Welcome to the ultimate masterclass in decoding the female mind. Blackmail in the garb of peace. How your cowardly compromise is signing your deed of captivity. The anatomy of conflict. Why healthy couples fight and how to transform anger into an ascending ladder. Do you recall our discussion in episode 11 regarding a woman's emotional security? Today, we are going to explore how, without the foundation of financial security, that very emotional sanctuary can suffer a systemic collapse. Even when financial stability, which we meticulously analyzed in episode 15, is firmly established, a single unskillful confrontation can dismantle that precious architecture in a matter of minutes. My psychological critique of many high-achieving men is that they either evade conflict by retreating into a cold, stony silence, or they lose their authoritative control during moments of rage, resorting to the destruction of their partner's character. In today's high-pressure environment, where the instantaneous fluctuations of the gold, coin, and currency markets and the breakneck speed of technological evolution vibrate through our nerves, learning the art of fair fighting is a strategic survival skill. You must realize that conflict is not a harbinger of the end of love, but rather a signal that something in this dynamic requires evolution. Let us penetrate the deeper layer of the psychology of anger. When a conflict arises in a relationship, our brains instinctively enter a fight or flight state. In this physiological condition, adrenaline surges, and the capacity for logical analysis, governed by the prefrontal cortex, is severely diminished. My critique of modern couples is that they attempt to resolve the most complex issues of their lives in the midst of this biological storm, resulting in nothing but character assassination. Psychological interpretation teaches us that an authoritative man is one who perceives the underlying layer of his spouse's anger. Behind every shout or sharp criticism from a woman, there usually lies an unmet need or a deep fear of being unseen. If you can respond to that hidden need instead of offering a defensive reaction, you have already traveled half the path to reconciliation. In the world of technology and binary data, we seek 0 and 1 solutions, but in the heart of a relationship, solutions reside in the gray shades of empathy and mutual understanding. Another vital layer of this discourse is the fundamental distinction between a complaint and contempt. Expressing a complaint is a natural right in any partnership. For example, I am frustrated that the rise in the dollar rate forced us to cancel our travel plans. However, contempt is an assault on an individual's identity. For example, you have always been incompetent and incapable of managing our life. I emphasize in this segment that contempt, according to Dr. Gottman's research, is the #1 predictor of divorce. An authoritative man maintains the boundary of sanctity, even at the peak of his fury. He understands that toxic words act like acid on the pillars of a woman's emotional security. To ensure your script achieves maximum volume and impact, you must reinforce the concept that true power is not found in a loud voice, but in the mastery of self-control. You must learn to manage the space of the dialogue so it evolves from a battlefield into a negotiation room for the relationship's progress. Ultimately, we must address the philosophy of positive conflict. Conflict, when managed with precision, is akin to a surgical procedure that extracts the hidden tumors of a relationship. In the subsequent parts, we will explore highly operational topics such as the timeout technique during the peak of an argument, how to apologize authoritatively without losing self-esteem, and the psychology of genuine forgiveness. We are learning how to rebuild our bond with bricks stronger than before after every storm, ensuring that external adversities and the economic pressures of the gold and coin markets do not weaken our heart's connection. You are learning how to be the hero of your own home, not just on sunny days, but precisely in the middle of life's most violent lightning storms. The strategic timeout and physiological regulation, how to steer the relationship through the eye of the storm. In this stage of our analysis of the sacred combat, we must confront the very layer where most men face a catastrophic failure: managing the moment of explosion. From the perspective of biological psychology, when a confrontation escalates regarding sensitive topics, be it the financial management we explored in episode 15 or the travel preferences in episode 16, our bodies undergo a phenomenon known as emotional flooding. In this state, the heart rate often exceeds 100 beats per minute, effectively paralyzing the brain's rational center. My psychological critique of men is their insistence on continuing a dialogue in this compromised physiological state. They are oblivious to the fact that any word uttered during flooding is not a solution, but an emotional dagger. In a world where we are under the constant pressure of currency and gold market volatility and the relentless complexity of the technology sector, our nervous system's threshold is significantly lowered. Therefore, the first step of true authority is declaring a strategic timeout. An authoritative man is one who has the courage to say, "I am currently too agitated to be fair. Let us take 20 minutes of silence before we reconnect. Let us analyze the psychology of body language and verbal vibrations during a conflict." One of the most pervasive errors is the utilization of aggressive body language, clenched fists, a raised voice, or a condescending gaze. Psychological interpretation informs us that a woman, acting as a high-precision receiver of emotional security, as discussed in episode 11, detects these threat signals at the speed of light and immediately retreats into a defensive shell. When you adopt a patronizing tone while discussing the family budget or the price of coins, you are effectively severing the roots of trust. I emphasize that true authority resides in a composed silence, not in an empty shout. You must learn to maintain your physical posture in a state of openness and calm, even when you profoundly disagree. This signals to your spouse that our relationship is far greater than this temporary obstacle. The next layer of this skill involves the mastery of I statements over you-centric attacks. Instead of accusing her by saying, "You are always jeopardizing our financial security in the dollar market with your spending," you should rephrase it as, "I feel an intense sense of anxiety for our family's future when I see our expenses misaligned with our income." This linguistic shift is a miracle in the marital negotiation room. My critique of modern couples, who are often submerged in the rapid communications of the tech world, is that they have forgotten the art of active listening. They often just wait for their partner to stop talking so they can launch a sharper counterattack. As an authoritative man, you must be a listener first. Even if you disagree, you must first validate that you have understood her emotional perspective. To ensure this part reaches your ideal volume, focus on the 20-minute rule. Scientific research has empirically proven that following an emotional flood, it takes at least 20 minutes for stress hormones like cortisol to subside and for the brain to return to a state of reason. During these 20 minutes, you should not be drafting war plans or mental insults. Instead, you must remind yourself that your spouse is your comrade, not your enemy. In the subsequent parts, we will delve into the art of authoritative apology without humiliation and how to transform every argument into a new contract for happiness. We are building a character that, in the storms of life, stands like a mountain, a sanctuary for the relationship. Do not let the fluctuations of the gold market or work tensions turn you into someone who seeks winners and losers at home. In a relationship, you either win together or you lose together. The art of authoritative apology and trust restoration. How to take responsibility without eroding self-esteem. Following the subsidence of the initial emotional storm and the successful navigation of the strategic timeout we analyzed in the previous part, we arrive at the most delicate phase of relational repair, the art of the apology. From the perspective of existential psychology, an apology is often misconstrued by many men as a confession of weakness or a loss of dominance. However, my psychological critique of this archaic viewpoint is that a genuine apology actually demonstrates the highest echelon of a man's authority and self-assurance. A man who is internally fragile can never admit to a mistake, as his brittle identity would crumble under the weight of an error. Conversely, a man active in the high-stakes worlds of technology and financial markets understands that mistakes are an inherent part of the growth trajectory. In a relationship, it is the same. If, during a heated debate over the price of gold or the dollar, you utilized a derogatory tone or damaged your spouse's emotional security, which we deconstructed in episode 11, failing to apologize is a toxin that slowly rots the pillars of your home. Let us deconstruct the architecture of an authoritative and complete apology. A shallow apology like, "I'm sorry, but it was your fault," or "I'm sorry you're so sensitive," is, in reality, a renewed assault, not an effort toward reconciliation. In the analysis of social intelligence, SQ, a true apology consists of three vital components. 1. Explicitly accepting the wrong behavior without using the word but. 2. Acknowledging the impact that behavior had on your spouse's feelings. And 3. Proposing a tangible path for restitution. My psychological interpretation is that when you authoritatively accept responsibility for your actions, you are essentially telling your spouse, "Our relationship and your security are more valuable than my ego." This behavior constitutes the emotional anchor we mentioned in episode 16, ensuring that even during the most severe economic crises in the coin market, your spouse feels she has a secure and honest foundation to lean on. The deeper layer of this part involves the concept of root conflict resolution, as opposed to sweeping it under the rug. Many couples, after a fight, move past it with a superficial reconciliation without resolving the underlying issue. My critique of this approach is that these open wounds will inevitably resurface with double the intensity during the next fluctuation in the currency market or a new professional tension in the tech sector. As the manager of this relationship, you must conduct conflict post-mortem sessions. Once the atmosphere is calm, ask your spouse, "In that argument, what frightened or hurt you the most? And how can we manage this in the future before our anger reaches this tipping point?" This elevates the relationship from a reactive state to a controlled and strategic one. To ensure this section reaches the maximum volume for your word file, emphasize the concept of rebuilding the wall of trust. Trust is like a precious crystal. Once cracked, it requires time and specialized care to heal. An authoritative man is one who, after reconciling, demonstrates through consistency of behavior that his apology was not merely a momentary tactic to end the fight, but a sincere commitment to evolution. In the fourth and final part, we will explore the remarkable topic of the psychology of intimate reconciliation and transforming combat into love. We are learning how to build a deeper flame of intimacy from the ashes of every argument and not let any external force, from the price of coins to the interference of outsiders, threaten our heart's bond. We are learning how to remain the king of our emotional domain, even in the toughest moments. The psychology of deep reconciliation and establishing perpetual peace. How to ignite intimacy from the ashes of conflict. We have reached the definitive terminal of our deconstruction of conflict, the stage where the distinction between a standard relationship and an authoritative strategic partnership becomes undeniably clear. From the perspective of systems relationship psychology, the conclusion of an argument should never be characterized by mere silence or enforced oblivion. Rather, it must culminate in a relational recovenant. My psychological critique of many successful men in the fields of technology and business is their tendency to retreat into their defensive shells immediately after a reconciliation, pretending as though the storm never occurred. However, the reality is that a woman's psyche, following a confrontation, requires an immediate reaffirmation of attachment. If you learned in episode 11 that emotional security is a woman's primary necessity, you must realize that after any combat, this security is profoundly destabilized and demands urgent reconstruction. In a world where the fluctuations of the currency, gold, and coin markets constantly inject external stress, the home must be transformed into a secure sanctuary, not a secondary minefield. Let us explore the profound concept of the repair attempt. In advanced psychological research, it has been empirically proven that couples who endure in the long term do not necessarily fight less. Rather, they have mastered the art of rapid repair. An authoritative man, after resolving the logical aspects of a dispute, moves decisively into the phase of emotional restoration. This repair can manifest as a prolonged embrace, a sincere dialogue devoid of the distractions of smartphones and the tech world, or even performing an act of service that holds deep meaning for his spouse. My psychological interpretation is that you must prove through your actions that our bond is far more powerful and significant than our divergence of opinion over the price of the dollar or familial complications. This is the moment you transition from an agitated trader to a benevolent king within your emotional domain. Furthermore, you must focus on establishing a smart prevention system. In a modern era where we rely on artificial intelligence and data-driven analytics, why should we not apply this same rigor to our relationships? I propose the implementation of the Golden Half-Hour Protocol. At the end of each week, regardless of the pressures of the gold market or your professional workload, sit down and ask your spouse, during this past week, where did you feel a disconnect from me? Or, how can I be a more steadfast pillar of support for you in the coming week? This conscious vulnerability desiccates the roots of future major conflicts before they have a chance to germinate. An authoritative man does not fear criticism, for he understands that awareness of one's weaknesses is the foundational step toward achieving absolute strength in a relationship. To ensure this script achieves maximum density for your records, emphasize this ultimate synthesis. Conflict, when managed with profound respect, acts as the adhesive of a relationship, not its solvent. With every successful reconciliation, You are effectively communicating to your spouse that even in the most arduous conditions, we will always find a path back to one another. Do not allow misplaced pride or the bitterness stemming from the economic pressures of the coin market to obstruct your expression of love. In episode 18, we will explore the fascinating and challenging topic of the psychology of social circles and friends, how to manage the boundary between peers and family. We will learn how an authoritative man remains a loyal friend while ensuring that no third party ever compromises the private sanctuary and emotional security of his spouse. We are completing the puzzle of an ideal life.